Lieutenant Anna Martinez stared at her tactical display, blinked twice, and looked again. The readings hadn't changed. 3 unknown objects had just appeared at the edge of Saturn's orbit, moving in a way that defied normal space travel patterns. "Commander Nash," she called out, keeping her voice steady despite her racing heart. "You need to see this." Commander Peter Nash rose from his captain's chair aboard the U.S. Trident, Earth's newest Iron Giant-class warship. His boots made soft thuds against the metal floor as he walked to her station. The bridge crew continued their usual tasks, but he could sense their attention shifting toward the tactical display. "Talk to me, Lieutenant," he said, leaning over her shoulder to study the readings. "3 vessels, sir. They just appeared. No normal deceleration, no engine signatures we recognize. They're unlike anything in our database." She pointed to the energy readings. "And they're headed straight for Earth." Nash straightened up, his face showing no sign of the concern he felt. At 45, he had spent more than half his life preparing for this moment. Humanity's first contact with alien life. He just hadn't expected it to happen during this shift. "Sound general quarters," he ordered. "But keep it quiet. No sirens. I want everyone at their stations without causing panic, and get me a direct line to Earth Defense Command." Throughout the massive ship, crew members moved quickly but calmly to their battle stations. The U.S. Trident was one of Earth's 12 Iron Giants, massive warships that served as the backbone of humanity's space defense force. Each one was 3 kilometers long and packed with enough firepower to level a continent. Within minutes, Admiral Claire Reynolds' face appeared on the main screen. "Commander Nash, explain these readings my staff just forwarded to me." "Admiral, we have 3 vessels of unknown origin approaching Earth. Their method of arrival suggests technology far beyond our current capabilities. No aggressive moves yet, but they're on a direct course." The Admiral's expression remained neutral. "Your recommendation? Let the Trident make first contact, ma'am. We're the closest ship, and if things go badly..." He left the rest unsaid. Everyone knew the Iron Giants were designed to be sacrificial defenders if necessary. "Approved. I'm activating the orbital defense grid, but keeping it powered down. No sense showing all our cards at once." The Admiral paused. "And Peter, good luck." As the screen went dark, Nash turned to his communications officer. "Send a standard greeting package on all frequencies. Let's see if our visitors want to talk." The bridge crew waited in tense silence as the alien ships drew closer. They were beautiful in a strange way. Their hulls seemed to shimmer with an inner light, and they moved with an organic grace that made Earth's ships look clumsy in comparison. "Commander," Martinez called out suddenly. "They're responding. Text only. Translating now." The main screen filled with symbols that quickly resolved into English. "Greetings, inhabitants of the 3rd planet. We are representatives of the Astrine Federation, a peaceful coalition of spacefaring species. We come seeking diplomatic contact with your pre-industrial civilization." Nash couldn't help but smile. Pre-industrial. He looked out the main viewport at the massive orbital defense platforms that surrounded Earth, each one a testament to humanity's advancement into space. Dozens of satellites, stations, and smaller warships moved in their careful orbital dance around the planet. "Send them visual of our position," he ordered. "Let's clear up their misconception right away." The response took several minutes to arrive. "Our sensors appear to be malfunctioning. We are detecting extensive orbital construction and energy readings that suggest significant technological advancement. Our last survey indicated your species had yet to harness electricity. Please confirm these structures are of your origin. Confirm their readings and send them our standard civilian space traffic guidelines," Nash ordered. "Let's show them we have protocols for this sort of thing." As the information was transmitted, the alien ships slowed their approach. Their next message arrived more quickly. "We request permission to send a diplomatic vessel. Our ambassador Zixera wishes to establish formal contact. Nash consulted briefly with Earth Defense Command before responding. Permission granted. One vessel may approach to these coordinates. Please acknowledge our traffic control instructions. The next hour was a careful dance of protocol and positioning. The Astrian diplomatic vessel, a graceful ship that seemed to be made of crystalline segments, approached under the watchful eyes of both the Strident and Earth's defense grid. Two other iron giants had moved into backup positions, carefully hidden behind Earth's moon. When the Astrian ship finally came to rest 5 kilometers from the Strident, Nash received permission to board their vessel with a small diplomatic team. He chose Lieutenant Martinez and Katie Phillips, their diplomatic officer, to accompany him. The Astrian ship's docking procedure was surprisingly compatible with human technology, although Nash suspected they had quickly adapted their systems to match Earth's specifications. As the airlock cycled, he straightened his uniform and reminded himself that he was humanity's first official representative to an alien species. The door opened to reveal a sight that would be forever etched in his memory. Ambassador Zixera stood nearly 7 feet tall, with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Their 4 arms were held in what appeared to be a peaceful gesture, and their large, multifaceted eyes studied the human delegation with obvious curiosity. "Welcome aboard," the ambassador said, their words translated by a small device floating near their head. "I must admit, we find ourselves in an unusual situation. Our records of your world are clearly outdated." "By quite a bit," Nash agreed with a small smile. "We've been busy." The ambassador's skin rippled in what might have been amusement. "So we see. If I may ask, these massive constructions around your world, particularly the armed platforms." "Defense platforms," Nash corrected gently. "Earth has a long history of preparing for both the known and unknown. We believe in peace through readiness." "Fascinating," Zixera said, their eyes shifting color slightly. "In all our exploration, we've never encountered a species that developed such extensive military capability before making first contact. Most civilizations join the Federation during their early development and never see the need for such preparations." Katie Phillips stepped forward slightly. "Ambassador, if I may, humanity has learned through our own history that peace is best maintained when backed by the ability to defend it. Our iron giants and defense platforms aren't weapons of aggression, but shields for our world and, potentially, our allies." The ambassador was silent for a moment, their skin shifting through several subtle color changes. "Your species is not what we expected. This will make for an interesting diplomatic exchange." They gestured with their lower arms. "Please, let us move to more comfortable surroundings. We have much to discuss about our mutual futures." As they followed the ambassador, Nash caught Martinez giving him a questioning look. He nodded slightly. Yes, this had gone better than they'd dared hope. Earth's first contact wouldn't be marked by conflict, but by surprise and curiosity on both sides. The Astrians had come expecting to find a primitive world ready to be guided into their federation. Instead, they found humanity had built its own path to the stars, carrying with them the hard-learned lessons of their history. The iron giants that watched over Earth weren't just weapons. They were proof that humanity understood the value of strength in ensuring peace. Now they just had to help their new alien friends understand that sometimes the best way to avoid using weapons was to have them ready but kept safely behind a shield of diplomatic cooperation. As Nash followed the ambassador, he couldn't help but think this would be the beginning of a very interesting relationship between the stars. Dr. Linda Cooper sat in the observation room aboard the U.S. Strident, watching the Astrian delegates through the one-way window. Her job as a xenanthropologist had suddenly become the most important position in human history. The aliens' reactions to Earth's military history played across their shimmering skin like waves of color. "They're displaying signs of extreme distress," she said into her recorder. "Their skin patterns show rapid shifts between purple and gray tones, particularly when viewing the World War IA footage." Katie Phillips, who stood beside her, nodded. "It's like showing battle footage to children who grew up in a perfect utopia. They've never seen anything like this. On the other side of the glass, Ambassador Zixera and 3 other Estrine representatives watched the historical documentation of Earth's military development. Their forearm gestures became more agitated with each passing minute. "Please," Zixera finally said, their translation device trembling slightly. "We need a moment to process this information." Commander Nash, who had been quietly standing in the corner, stepped forward. "Of course, Ambassador. Would you like to take a break?" "No." The ambassador's skin rippled with determination. "We need to understand. Your species has spent thousands of years fighting each other." "Yes," Nash replied simply. "Those conflicts taught us many hard lessons. Each war pushed us to develop better technology, both for fighting and defending. When we finally reached the stars, we brought those lessons with us." One of the other Estrines, a scientist named Velter, moved closer to the screen showing Earth's first orbital defense platform construction. "Fascinating and terrifying. Your chief engineer Samuel Wright designed these platforms to withstand attacks that have never even happened." Yet, Samuel Wright's voice came from the doorway as he entered the room. The stocky engineer had been called in to explain the technical aspects of Earth's defenses. "We didn't build the iron giants and defense platforms because we knew of threats out there. We built them because we didn't know what threats might exist." The Estrian's skin patterns shifted to a deep blue, a color Dr. Cooper was beginning to associate with deep thought or contemplation. "In the Federation," Zixera explained, "member species join us during their early development. We guide them toward peaceful cooperation. No species has ever needed to develop military technology because we protect them." "And who protects the Federation?" Katie Phillips asked gently. The question hung in the air. The Estrines looked at each other, their skin patterns showing confusion. "We have never needed protection," Velter admitted. "Our technology is advanced enough to avoid most natural space hazards, and we have never encountered hostile species." Samuel Wright walked to the display, showing the iron giants in formation. "Let me show you something," he said, bringing up the technical specifications. "These ships aren't just weapons platforms. They're mobile rescue stations, research vessels, and diplomatic centers. Every weapon system has a dual-purpose peaceful application." Dr. Cooper watched the Estrine's reaction carefully as Wright explained how the ship's powerful engines could be used to deflect asteroids, their shields could protect civilian ships from solar flares, and their advanced sensors helped with deep space exploration. "Your species," Zixera said slowly, "built all this without knowing if you'd ever need it." "We built it hoping we'd never need it," Nash corrected. "Think of it like an immune system. Your bodies have defenses against diseases you've never encountered, right?" The ambassador's skin flickered with understanding. Yes, I see the parallel. But the resources, the time, the effort, would be worth it if it saves even one world," Katie Phillips interjected. "That's something we learned from our history. The cost of being unprepared is always higher than the cost of readiness." Dr. Cooper noticed a subtle shift in the Estrine's posture. Their earlier horror had given way to something else. Curiosity, perhaps even respect. She made another note in her recorder. "There's something else you should see," Nash said, bringing up new images on the screen. They showed Earth's ships conducting rescue operations, delivering supplies to colonies, and helping with scientific expeditions. "This is what our fleet does 99% of the time. The weapons are our insurance policy, but our daily work is peaceful." Velter moved closer to the screen, their skin showing patterns Dr. Cooper hadn't seen before. "Your species is paradoxical. You prepare for war while working for peace. You build weapons that double as tools. You train warriors who serve as guardians." "That's humanity in a nutshell," Samuel Wright chuckled. "We hope for the best but prepare for the worst." The meeting continued for several more hours as the Estrines asked detailed questions about Earth's history, technology, and philosophy. Dr. Cooper watched their skin patterns gradually shift from distress to fascination. Later, in her private quarters, Dr. Cooper recorded her final observations for the day. The Astrines represent a society that evolved without significant threats or conflicts. Their reaction to humanity's military development reveals both their innocence and their potential vulnerability. However, they show remarkable adaptability in their thinking. Their initial horror at our military capability is being replaced by a growing understanding of the concept of defensive preparation. She paused, considering her next words carefully. The cultural exchange goes both ways. While they learn about the value of defensive preparation, we're learning about a society that achieved space travel through pure scientific curiosity rather than military competition. The potential for mutual growth is enormous. As she finished her recording, her computer chimed with a message from Katie Phillips. More Astrine ships had arrived in the solar system. Not diplomatic vessels this time, but their equivalent of scientific ships. They wanted to learn more about humanity's defensive technology. Dr. Cooper smiled. The Astrines might have arrived expecting to find a primitive civilization to guide, but instead they found teachers. Humanity's hard-earned wisdom about the importance of defense might be exactly what the peaceful Federation needed to ensure its continued survival in a universe that might not always be as peaceful as they had known. The cultural shock was far from over, but it was already leading both species down a path neither had expected. As she looked out her window at the graceful Astrine ships floating alongside Earth's sturdy iron giants, Dr. Cooper couldn't help but think that this contrast, this blend of peace and strength, might be the key to humanity's role in a wider galaxy. Lieutenant Anna Martinez's fingers flew across her tactical display as warning lights flashed across the U.S. Strident's bridge. Something was wrong with Defense Platform 7, and the energy readings made no sense. "Commander Nash," she called out. "The platform's defense grid is powering up without authorization. Someone's hacked into the control systems." Peter Nash was already moving toward her station, his face grim. The past week of peaceful talks with the Astrine Federation had lulled them into a false sense of security. Now they faced their first real crisis. "Location of the nearest Astrian vessels?" he asked, scanning the tactical display. 3 research ships within range of Platform 7, Martins reported. "But sir, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from one of them. It doesn't match the patterns we've seen from their other ships." Nash pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill." He turned to his communications officer. "Get me Ambassador Zixera immediately." The ambassador's image appeared on the main screen, their skin already showing patterns of distress. "Commander Nash, we have a serious situation. We've detected unauthorized actions from one of our vessels." "So have we, Ambassador. Care to explain why one of your ships is interfering with our defense platform?" Zixera's skin turned a deep purple, a sign of shame and anger that Dr. Cooper had documented. "They are not acting under Federation authority. A group called the Pure Path believes your military capability is too dangerous to allow. They plan to disable your defenses and force the Federation to guide your species toward their version of peace." Nash's jaw tightened. "Ambassador, I respect our growing friendship, but if that platform is compromised, I will have no choice but to respond with force. Please," Zixera's voice carried genuine fear, "give us a chance to stop them first. The Pure Path members don't understand violence or military response. A show of force might push them to desperate actions." Nash looked at the tactical display again. The defense platform's weapons were slowly turning toward Earth. If they fired, millions could die. "You have 5 minutes, Ambassador. After that, I must protect Earth." Katie Phillips rushed onto the bridge. "Commander, I've been studying the Pure Path's communications. They truly believe they're saving us from ourselves. They don't understand that disabling our defenses could leave Earth vulnerable to real threats." Nash nodded. "Lieutenant Martinez, prepare a targeted electromagnetic pulse. If we have to shut down that platform, I want to do it without destroying it." He turned back to the screen. "Ambassador, what's your plan?" I'm sending the access codes to their ship's core systems, Zixera said, their skin rippling with determination. Their leader, Varanox, was once a Federation security officer. If you can link your ship's computers to theirs, you can counter their hack of your platform. Samuel Wright's voice came over the comm system. Commander, I can help with that. The platform's architecture is my design. Give me access to those Astrian codes, and I can create a feedback loop in their control signal. 3 minutes until the platform's weapons reach full power, Martins reported. Nash made his decision. Do it. Martinez, move us between the platform and Earth. If this doesn't work, we'll take the hit ourselves. The bridge crew watched in tense silence as Wright and the Astrian technicians worked to counter the Pure Path's attack. The U.S. Strident slowly positioned itself in front of the massive defense platform, its shields powered to maximum. 2 minutes, Martinez called out. Commander, Wright's voice was tight with concentration. I'm in their systems, but they're fighting back. I need more time. 1 minute. Nash opened a channel to the Pure Path ship. This is Commander Nash. Your attempts to disable our defenses prove exactly why we need them. But we're willing to show you a better way. Stand down now. The response came in a burst of angry static. Your weapons must be destroyed for the good of all species. 30 seconds. Nash looked at Ambassador Zixera's image. I'm sorry, but we're out of time. Martinez, prepare to. Got it. Wright's triumphant voice cut through the tension. On the tactical display, the defense platform's weapons powered down, and its systems returned to normal control. Pure Path vessel is losing power, Martins reported. Their control systems are completely locked out. Sir, they're trying to run. Not happening, Nash said firmly. Ambassador, with your permission, we'll hold them here until Federation authorities arrive. The Strident's tractor beam caught the Pure Path's ship easily. As Federation security vessels approached, Nash watched the tactical display with mixed feelings. They had solved this crisis without firing a shot, but the incident proved that even peaceful species could pose threats. Later, in the ship's conference room, Nash met with Zixera and the senior staff. The ambassador's skin showed patterns of both relief and worry. We owe you an apology, Zixera said. The Pure Path represents everything wrong with our society's approach. We were so focused on maintaining peace that we never learned to handle those who would disrupt it. Katie Phillips smiled gently. Sometimes the best way to maintain peace is to be ready to defend it. Maybe that's something our species can teach yours. The Pure Path was right about one thing, Nash added. Military power can be dangerous. That's why we built our defenses with so many safeguards and redundancies. It's why we train our people to show restraint. Power without control is just chaos. Dr. Cooper, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. This incident might actually help both our species. The Federation sees that military capability doesn't equal aggression, and humanity proves we can handle conflicts without resorting to violence. Yes, Zixera agreed, their skin showing new patterns that Dr. Cooper hadn't seen before, something like determination mixed with hope. Perhaps it's time for the Federation to develop its own defense forces, with Earth's guidance. After all, if the Pure Path could cause this much trouble, what might truly hostile species do? As the meeting continued, Nash looked out the window at Defense Platform 7. The massive structure stood as a testament to humanity's preparedness, but today it had served its purpose without firing a shot. Sometimes, he realized, the best weapons were the ones that never had to be used. The crisis had passed, but its lessons would shape the relationship between Earth and the Astrian Federation for years to come. As Nash listened to the discussions about joint defense training and technology sharing, he couldn't help but smile. The Iron Giants were becoming bridges between cultures, not just shields against threats. Dr. Linda Cooper stood in front of a large screen in the U.S. Strident's main conference room. Her audience included both human officers and Astrian delegates, all waiting to hear her latest research findings. The recent crisis with the Pure Path had made her work even more important. The key to understanding our differences lies in our origins, she began, showing images of Earth and the Astrine homeworld side by side. Earth shaped humanity through constant challenges. We faced predators, natural disasters, and harsh climates. But the Astrine homeworld was different. Ambassador Zixera's skin rippled with interest as Dr. Cooper showed more images. Their home planet was a peaceful paradise with stable weather, few large predators, and abundant resources. Your species never needed to develop strong defensive instincts, Dr. Cooper explained. You didn't have to fight to survive. This helped you create an amazing peaceful society, but it also left you vulnerable to threats you never imagined. Vernox, the captured Pure Path leader, sat in the corner under guard. His skin showed patches of gray, a sign of deep shame. We thought we were protecting peace, he said quietly. We never understood that peace sometimes needs defenders. Commander Nash nodded. That's why we built the Iron Giants. Not because we want war, but because we understand that peace isn't always a natural state. Sometimes it needs to be protected. Samuel Wright stepped forward, carrying a small device. Which is why we've developed this, he said, placing it on the table. It's a modified version of our defense platform's shield generator. We've adapted it to work with Astrine technology. The device hummed to life, creating a small protective bubble that shimmered with both human and Astrine energy patterns. The Astrian engineers in the room moved closer, their skin showing patterns of fascination. Beautiful, one of them said, reaching out to touch the shield. It's stronger than anything we've developed, but it uses only half the energy. Lieutenant Martinez, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. That's because we designed it specifically for defense. All power goes to protection, none to offense. We thought this might be a good first step in helping the Federation develop its own defense capabilities. Ambassador Zixera moved around the table to study the device more closely. This is remarkable. You've taken your military technology and adapted it to match our peaceful principles. Exactly, Katie Phillips said, smiling. We're not asking you to become warriors. We're offering to help you become better guardians of your peace. Vernox's skin suddenly showed a new pattern, one that Dr. Cooper hadn't seen before. I understand now, he said, looking at the shield generator. What I saw as weapons of war are really tools of protection. The Pure Path was wrong about humans. We were so focused on maintaining peace that we forgot peace needs to be strong to survive. Commander Nash walked over to Vernox. Your people value peace above all else. That's admirable. But peace isn't just the absence of conflict. It's the ability to prevent conflict through strength and wisdom. Dr. Cooper watched as understanding spread through the room. The Astrian skin patterns shifted through colors she associated with deep thought and acceptance. Even the guards watching Vernox seemed to be seeing things differently. Commander, Ambassador Zixera said, we would like to begin formal defense training for a small group of Federation representatives. Not to learn warfare, but to understand protection. Would you be willing to help? Nash smiled. Lieutenant Martinez has already prepared a training program. We'll start with basic defensive tactics and crisis management. Over the next few hours, Martinez demonstrated simple defensive maneuvers using holographic displays. The Astrines watched with growing interest as she explained how to position ships to protect civilian vessels, how to use shields efficiently, and how to detect potential threats before they became dangerous. The key, Martinez explained, is to be so well prepared that most threats choose not to attack at all. That's true defensive strength. Samuel Wright added to the lesson by showing how Earth's defense platforms had prevented dozens of potential disasters, not from attacks, but from natural space hazards like solar flares and asteroids. Most of our defensive technology has peaceful uses, he explained. The same shields that could stop an attack also protect ships from radiation. The sensors we use to detect threats help us explore space more safely. Dr. Cooper continued making notes as she watched the Astrines learn. Their quick understanding and adaptation were remarkable. What had started as a cultural shock was becoming a revolution in their thinking. Vernox, still under guard but now actively participating in the discussion, offered valuable insights from his security background. "We always focused on preventing conflict through negotiation," he said. "But we never considered that having strong defenses could make negotiation more effective." As the day progressed, more Astrine ships arrived, carrying scientists and engineers eager to learn. The U.S. Trident became a floating classroom, with humans teaching the art of defense to a species that had never needed it before. Katie Phillips worked with Ambassador Zixaret to draft the first proposals for a Federation defense initiative. The plans emphasized protection, preparation, and prevention rather than aggression or warfare. "Think of it as an immune system for the Federation," Phillips suggested. "Not attacking anything, just protecting what's valuable." Late that evening, Commander Nash stood at his favorite viewport, watching Earth's iron giants patrol alongside the graceful Astrine ships. Dr. Cooper joined him, carrying her research notes. "They're learning faster than I expected," she said. "Their peaceful nature isn't a weakness. It's actually helping them understand defense in a whole new way." Nash nodded. "They don't think like warriors, and that's good. We don't need them to be warriors. We need them to be guardians, and they're perfectly suited for that role." Through the viewport, they could see Martinez training a group of Astrines on one of the defense platforms. The alien ships moved with increasing confidence as they practiced defensive formations. "You know," Dr. Cooper said thoughtfully, "this might be why humanity developed the way we did. All our struggles and conflicts led us to this moment. Teaching a peaceful species how to protect itself without losing its peaceful nature." Nash smiled as he watched another group of Astrine ships arrive. "Maybe that's humanity's role in the galaxy. Not to be warriors, but to be protectors. To help peaceful species stay peaceful in a universe that isn't always kind." The iron giants of Earth had become more than weapons or shields. They were now bridges between two very different approaches to existence, helping create something entirely new, a peace that knew how to defend itself. 3 months after the Pure Path incident, Lieutenant Anna Martinez stood in the training center of Defense Platform 7, watching her newest group of Astrine students practice emergency procedures. Their skin patterns showed excitement and concentration as they worked with the defense systems. "Remember," she called out, "shields work better when overlapped. Think of them like a web, not a wall." The Astrines adjusted their positions in the simulator. Their ship's energy patterns merged smoothly, creating a defensive network that would have made any military instructor proud. But these weren't soldiers. They were scientists and explorers learning to protect their peaceful way of life. "Much better," Martine said, smiling. "You're natural defenders." Ambassador Zixera watched from the observation deck, their skin glowing with pride. Next to them, Katie Phillips reviewed the latest draft of the Earth-Astrine Defense Cooperation Treaty on her tablet. "Your people have learned more in 3 months than we expected them to learn in a year," Phillips said, looking up from her work. "We had good teachers," Zixera replied. Their skin showed the new pattern that Dr. Cooper had started calling determined peace, a mix of the Astrine's natural peaceful blue with streaks of protective gold. And honestly, we had no choice. After the Pure Path incident, the Federation realized we needed to change. The door slid open, and Commander Nash entered with Samuel Wright. The engineer was carrying a new device that immediately caught the Astrine's attention. "Latest upgrade to the shield harmonics," Wright announced, setting the device on a table. "We've combined your crystal technology with our projection systems. The result is something entirely new." The device activated, creating a shield bubble that shimmered with both human and Astrine energy patterns. But unlike the earlier versions, this one seemed to pulse with life, adapting and flowing like a living thing. "Remarkable," one of the Astrine engineers said, their skin patterns showing intense fascination. "It's responsive like our systems, but strong like yours. How did you manage that?" Wright grinned. We stopped trying to make our technologies work together and started letting them learn from each other instead, just like our species are doing. Dr. Cooper, who had been quietly taking notes in the corner, spoke up. The shield is a perfect symbol of how our cultures are evolving together. Earth's strength and the Astrine's harmony, working as one. On the training floor, Martinez's students had finished their exercise. Their ships, now equipped with the new hybrid shields, moved with a grace that matched any human defense formation. But there was something different about them, something uniquely Astrine. They're not just copying our techniques, Martinez observed. They're adapting them to fit their own style, making defense into an art form. Nash nodded approvingly. That's exactly what we hoped would happen. They're not becoming warriors. They're becoming something new. Peaceful guardians with the strength to protect that peace. The station's alert system suddenly chimed. But it wasn't a warning. Another group of Federation ships had arrived, led by the newly formed Astrine Defense Council. The Pure Path incident had convinced the Federation's leadership that they needed a dedicated organization to protect their peaceful civilization. Varanox, now released from custody and working as an advisor, entered the observation deck. His skin showed the complex patterns of someone who had found a new purpose. The Council has approved the first phase of the defense network, he announced. We'll be building protective stations based on Earth's designs, but adapted to Federation principles. Phillips pulled up the plans on her tablet. The new stations looked like a blend of Earth's solid construction and Astrine organic design. They're beautiful, she said. Form and function in perfect balance. Beauty with purpose, Varanox agreed. Something we learned from Earth. Your iron giants taught us that strength doesn't have to be ugly, and protection doesn't have to be aggressive. Down on the training floor, Martinez had started a new exercise. This time, the Astrine ships were practicing rescue operations, using their new defensive capabilities to protect civilian vessels while providing aid. Watch how they position themselves, Nash pointed out. They've taken our defensive formations and turned them into rescue protocols. They're not thinking about fighting. They're thinking about saving lives. Dr. Cooper was recording everything, her notes full of observations about how both species were changing. The Astrines are becoming more protective without losing their peaceful nature. She wrote, while humans are learning new ways to use our strength. It's a true cultural exchange. Samuel Wright spent the rest of the day working with Astrine engineers, sharing ideas and watching in amazement as they found new applications for Earth's technology. They had taken the basic concepts of the defense platforms and reimagined them in ways he had never considered. Look at this, he said, showing Nash a design one of the Astrines had created. They've modified the shield generators to create safe corridors through dangerous space phenomena. They're turning our defensive technology into exploration tools. As evening approached, Ambassador Zixera gathered everyone for an announcement. Their skin was glowing with what Dr. Cooper now recognized as their version of excitement. The Federation Council has voted, they said. We are officially establishing the first joint human Astrine Defense Academy. It will be a place where both our species can learn from each other, developing new ways to protect peace throughout the galaxy. The news was met with enthusiasm from both humans and Astrines. Martinez was immediately appointed as one of the lead instructors, while Varanox would serve as a cultural advisor to help bridge the gap between Federation philosophy and Earth's defensive knowledge. One more thing, Zixera continued. The Federation has decided to commission our own version of the Iron Giants, but ours will be called Peace Guardians, and they will combine the best of both our worlds. Nash looked out the window at Earth's defense platforms and the Astrine ships practicing around them. Peace Guardians, he repeated thoughtfully. I like that. The day ended with a small celebration on the observation deck. Humans and Astrines mingled freely, sharing stories and ideas. Dr. Cooper watched as Martinez taught some Astrine engineers a traditional Earth dance, while Varanox explained Federation customs to a group of fascinated human officers. We've come so far in just 3 months, Phillips said to Nash as they watched the festivities. Imagine where we'll be in a year. Nash smiled. The Iron Giants brought our species together, but it's our shared commitment to protecting peace that's keeping us together. That's worth celebrating. Outside, Earth's mighty warships stood guard alongside their new Estrine allies. They were no longer just symbols of human military power. They had become bridges between stars, teachers of harmony through strength, and guardians of a peace that grew stronger with every passing day. 1 year after first contact, Commander Peter Nash stood on the bridge of the U.S. Trident, but the ship had changed. Estrine crystal technology now enhanced its systems, and the crew included both humans and Estrines working side by side. "Commander," Lieutenant Martinez called from her station, "long-range sensors are picking up something strange. It's coming from the edge of the solar system." Before Nash could respond, Dr. Cooper rushed onto the bridge. The Estrine deep space monitors detected it too. Whatever it is, it's like nothing either of our species has seen before. The main screen showed a mass of dark energy moving through space, consuming everything in its path. Small asteroids disappeared into it, leaving nothing behind. "Get me Ambassador Zixera," Nash ordered. The ambassador's image appeared quickly on the screen, their skin patterns showing concern. "We see it too, Commander," Zixera said. "Our scientists say it's some kind of space anomaly that breaks down matter. It's heading toward the inner solar system." Katie Phillips, now the official Earth-Astrian liaison, studied the readings. "If it stays on its current path, it will reach Earth in 6 days. The Federation worlds would be next." Nash looked at his crew, humans and Estrines united in purpose. "Then we have 6 days to figure out how to stop it. Ambassador, I suggest we activate the Joint Defense Protocol." "Agreed." Zixera's skin rippled with determination. "I'm sending our Peace Guardians to join your Iron Giants. Together, we might have a chance." Samuel Wright's voice came over the comm system. "Commander, I've been studying the anomaly with the Estrine engineers. We think we can modify our combined shield technology to push it away from the solar system." "But," Nash asked, hearing the doubt in Wright's voice, "but we'll need to get very close to it. Closer than any ship has ever gotten to something this dangerous." Vernox, who now served as the Federation's chief defense advisor, joined the discussion. The Peace Guardians' crystal cores could power the shield, while the Iron Giants' projection systems could direct it. Working together, we might be able to create a barrier strong enough to deflect the anomaly. Nash nodded. "Gather every ship we have, human and Estrine. We're going to need them all." Over the next 5 days, the space around Earth became crowded with vessels. Earth's 12 Iron Giants formed a line with the Federation's 8 Peace Guardians. Smaller ships took up support positions, their crews ready to help in any way they could. Dr. Cooper worked with both human and Estrine scientists to understand the anomaly. "It's like a living void," she explained during the final briefing. "It doesn't just destroy matter, it erases it completely. But it also follows patterns. If we can disrupt those patterns, we can push it off course." Wright finished. He and his Estrine partners had modified every ship with new shield generators. Each ship will generate a part of the barrier. They have to work in perfect sync. Martinez, who had been training mixed human-Astrian crews for months, spoke up. "The crews are ready. They've been practicing the synchronized shield formations for weeks." As the anomaly approached, Nash looked at his crew. Humans and Estrines sat at their stations, no longer divided by their differences, but united by their shared purpose. "All ships, take formation," he ordered. The massive fleet moved into position, Iron Giants and Peace Guardians alternating in a long line. "Anomaly will reach engagement range in 5 minutes, Martins reported. Ambassador Zixera's voice came through the comm. "Remember, we're not fighting this thing. We're redirecting it. This is protection, not aggression." The void grew larger on their screens, its dark energy making instruments flicker. At Nash's command, every ship activated its shield generators at once. The combined energy of human and Astrine technology created a massive barrier of light. Anomaly reaching the barrier in 3, 2, 1. The impact shook every ship. Crews struggled to maintain their positions as the void pushed against their combined shields. On the Strident's bridge, humans and Astrines worked together, adjusting power levels and maintaining the shield harmony. "The barrier is holding," Wright reported, his voice strained. "But we need more power to push it off course." Vernox, who was coordinating the Peace Guardians, had an idea. "The crystal cores. If we increase their resonance frequency, they could amplify the entire shield network." "Do it," Nash ordered. "All ships, pour everything you have into the shields." The space between Earth and the void lit up with energy as 20 massive ships pushed their technology to the limit. The barrier began to curve, slowly forcing the anomaly to change direction. "It's working," Martinez called out. "The void is starting to move away from the solar system." For 3 hours, the combined fleet held their position, gradually steering the dangerous anomaly away from populated space. When it finally moved past them, changing course toward empty space, cheers erupted throughout every ship. "Damage report," Nash called out, though he was smiling too. "Minor systems damage on all ships," Martinez reported, "but nothing we can't fix together." Later, during the celebration on Earth's orbital station, humans and Astrines gathered to mark their first joint victory. Dr. Cooper watched as crews shared stories and congratulated each other, their differences forgotten in the joy of success. "You know what I realized today," she said to Nash and Zixera. "A year ago, neither of our species could have handled this alone. We needed both human strength and Astrine harmony." "The Iron Giants and Peace Guardians," Vernox added, his skin showing pride. "Two different approaches to protection, working as one." Katie Phillips raised her glass. "To the Terran Astrine Defense Alliance, may we continue to guard peace together." As the celebration continued, Nash walked to the station's main viewport. Earth's Iron Giants floated nearby, their hulls now decorated with Astrine crystal patterns. The Peace Guardians moved among them, no longer awkward in their defensive roles but confident in their new purpose. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Samuel Wright said, joining him. "When we built the first Iron Giant, I never imagined they'd become symbols of cooperation instead of just defense." Nash nodded. "The Astrines taught us that strength doesn't have to mean isolation. We taught them that peace sometimes needs protection. Together, we're stronger than either of us could be alone." Outside, a new ship was taking shape in Earth's orbit, the first vessel jointly designed and built by both species. It had the solid strength of an Iron Giant and the graceful power of a Peace Guardian. Its name was written in both human and Astrine script, Harmony Shield. Dr. Cooper made one final note in her journal. "When peaceful stars met Earth's Iron Giants, both changed forever. We didn't just find allies. We found a new way forward. Together, we're building something unique in the galaxy, a peace that knows how to protect itself, and a strength that serves harmony." The story of Earth's Iron Giants didn't end with their first contact. Instead, it evolved into something greater, a tale of two very different species learning to combine their strengths, protect each other, and face the unknown together. As the Harmony Shield took shape above Earth, it stood as a promise that whatever challenges the galaxy might bring, humanity and the Astrines would meet them as one.